Come over here. I've got something to show you. Cobalt blue. The color of blue pinioned at the base of a propane flame. Of tattered specks of stars. The blue of the vein that runs through fish flesh. Of teeth biting cold toast. The color of blue jays spurting across a field. As a child, I didn't care about my toys, only their colors. I set up wars between my toys, which were really color battles. I was the king, ruler, and decider, so blue always won. No reflection on blue is complete without Picasso's The Blue Room, painted in 1901. We peer at a naked woman lost in the ritual of bathing. She's not nude. Nude is how you appear unclothed to others. Naked is how you appear to yourself. By calling the painting The Blue Room, Picasso is tipping us to the fact that color is what drives the painting's energy. The blue of winter light coming through a window casing. But I always come back to the green table by the bed, with its bouquet of spring flowers. Picasso is telling us to trust our sensitivity. He is telling us that the color green wouldn't be possible without blue, just as spring wouldn't be possible without winter. He's saying that blue always wins, just like the blue jays in the field, who win by never being still.
I've been painting professionally in New York City for over 33 years, and I've survived countless fashions and trends in the art world. And I've met a lot of very famous painters along the way. They had one thing in common. All of them believe they should be more famous than they are. They get ticked when someone else is picked, grunt when they lose a grant, and stab their copy of Art in America with a shrimp fork when a rival gets reviewed. I worked in the back rooms of art galleries for many years and witnessed firsthand the sense of entitlement many artists exhibit. We are entitled to nothing. A show anywhere is a privilege, not a right. An artist's temperament is nothing more than bad manners. I used to get depressed by the fact that I have tighty-whities older than some of the middle schoolers who splash onto the art scene because they glued a penny to a canvas. It always seemed like the best things happened to the least deserving painters, but I was wrong. Art world trends rarely have anything to do with studio work, because most people look with their ears, not their eyes. Still, every artist wishes that herd of wildebeest would turn and run towards them once in a while, but they rarely do. Thus is born the most poisonous voice in that chorus all painters carry around in their heads: jealousy. If you work in the arts, it's unavoidable. Whenever an artist who isn't you gets a gallery show or appears in a glossy magazine, it doesn't mean they're better than you, just luckier. I used to think that just because an artist had a work in a gallery or museum, they must be good. It ain't true. They're lucky. If that artist is still showing in 25 years, they're good. I've had the luck of 5 people, but I've worked harder than 10. Success is too often confused with popularity. True success is curiosity and effort, because those are the only 2 things that can't be taken away by others. Time, not the market, determines quality. So the question to ask yourself isn't, am I good, but rather, will I continue? And therein lies the cure for jealousy. Growing older. Woody Allen said, you can live to be 100 if you give up all of the things that make you want to live to be 100. I may not live to be a centenarian, but I do know that something changed when I hit 50, and Katie threw me one heck of a 50th birthday party. I learned that one of the best parts about growing older, other than spontaneous naps, is not sweating the small stuff. Life's only commodity is time. Do you really want to spend it comparing your insides to other people's outsides? Show up, paint what you know, and don't ask for help. Help hurts. And maybe, just maybe, that herd of wildebeests will run to you. But until then, here's all you need to know.
Walter Sickert referred to the decision of whether or not to varnish as fresh or pickled. Varnish comes in 3 finishes: gloss, satin, and matte. A final picture varnish will protect a painting surface from dirt and even out its appearance. However, people often ask me if they should varnish simply because the colors appear dull. The answer is no. When oil paint dries, the oil gets absorbed into the weave of the canvas, leaving the paint dry and dull looking. To revive these areas, apply a thin layer of medium, such as linseed oil, in a process called oiling out. My favorite medium is 3 parts galkyd to 1 part walnut oil. Galkyd is an alkyd resin made by Gamblin, which adds viscosity and speeds up drying. Walnut oil is slow drying and yellows less than linseed oil. If I need to rework my surfaces, I simply add more walnut oil. Another option is a product called retouch varnish, which dries quickly and can be painted on top of. Only use a final picture varnish if you want a protective layer and a uniform surface. I rarely varnish because I add my galkyd walnut oil mixture to my colors as I mix them. By the time the painting is finished, my colors look deep and juicy as if they were freshly painted. No need for a final coat. Besides, my paint is thick. The last thing I want is a uniform glossy surface that makes the whole thing look like a hunk of mackerel in saran wrap. Having a variety of finishes in the same painting is, itself, a form of communication, because a matte area says something very different than a glossy one. For example, matte has an earthy mineral look that is spatially shallow. This is a beautiful contrast to saturated glossy colors, which are more artificial in luster. One pulls the viewer's gaze inward, gloss, while the other keeps it at the surface, matte. If you choose to varnish, here's some advice. Wait at least 3 months for the surface to thoroughly dry and make sure the painting is free of dust. Shake the bottle well and pour the varnish into a clean container. I like Chinese takeout bowls. Use a high-quality product like Gamvar, also by Gamblin, which is a synthetic resin that is water clear and virtually odorless. If you use a natural resin like Damar varnish, you'll need extra ventilation. Open your windows and use an exhaust fan unless you want to get as high as an elephant's eye. As an alternative, Sennelier makes a green varnish, which is eco-friendly and less odorous. But I've never gotten around to trying it because, well, I was too high. Apply the varnish in thin, even layers with a wide, stiff brush that has been cleaned with thinner and blotted. And don't forget to beat off. How many jobs can you say that about? Work your way out to the edges and always finish on the downstroke. Be aware of pooling, which is when the varnish gathers in cracks and crevices. Keep a separate clean brush on hand for the sole purpose of wicking excess varnish from these pools. Remember, keep it thin. You can always add more layers, but you can't take them away so easily. Successive layers will increase gloss, but stay the hell away from anything that says high gloss. You made a painting, not a Ferrari. For the past 3 decades, I've had at least 2 solo shows per year, and after every single one, I slide into a period of creative bankruptcy. I sit in my studio and pout. Will I ever make a good painting again? Then, after a period of time, usually 5 weeks, I get back to work, but always with a heightened awareness of time running out. The longer you paint, the more you'll experience that terrible state known as painter's block. You work and work, but every canvas is pure suck. You look into the mirror, and Shrek looks back. The well has run dry, and it feels like the universe is collapsing. My solution for getting out of such dry spells is to examine the word block from a different angle. If your kid locks you out of your car, the problem isn't the car door, but the kid. A colon gets blocked. An artist gets temporarily barren. The only certainty is that you will fill up again. A dry spell is a good sign. It means you're working. But you can't force the muses. My advice? Give up. I once read a quote by Anonymous that said, "All grumbling is tantamount to, 'Oh, why is a lily not an oak?'" I spent decades trying to make great paintings. I'd kick open my studio door and utter, "Today, I will be brilliant." But here's the thing. If you're unmotivated, quit. Give yourself permission to stop trying so hard. Watch Star Trek, or buy new paints. If you can't afford good paint, I couldn't for a long time, then use cheap house paint. If your studio isn't large, make small work. If your job doesn't leave time, wake up earlier. If you're sleepy, sleep. Do something repetitive and manual. Sweep the floor, or squirt WD-40 into every hinge you can find. Boredom is jet fuel for creativity. But there's something else.
My friend, the late painter Will Barnett, gave me some advice at one of my New York City openings, which I've never forgotten. He motioned for me to lean down, he was in a wheelchair, and whispered in my ear, "Brian, you've made it. You can have anything you want, except one thing." "What's that?" I asked. "This." He was telling me that no champagne opening or the mirage of success could ever replace this moment in time. Notice it. Live in it. You don't get out of a painting block by seeking inspiration one sunset at a time, but by paying attention all the time. Give your time to others. Volunteer at a soup kitchen in a church, or read to kids in your local public school. But most of all, pay attention to those tender moments of human communication. A smile, a nod, holding the door for someone, or a simple good morning, because they will make you fully present. Small acts of kindness. That's how you fill up again.